we need to talk about something that's been all over the news, all over social media, and frankly, impossible to ignore if you've been paying attention to Las Vegas. Tourism is down, significantly down. We're talking about visitor numbers dropping month after month, hotels struggling to fill rooms, and a narrative emerging that Vegas is dead. But here's the thing, the reality is more complicated and more interesting than that headline suggests. So let's dig into what's actually happening with Las Vegas tourism in 2025, what the numbers really show, and what it all means for the future of this city. Let's start with the hard data, because this isn't about vibes or anecdotes. We have actual statistics from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, and they paint a clear picture. In August 2025, Las Vegas welcomed about 3.17 million visitors. Now, that sounds like a lot, right? But compared to August 2024, that's a decline of 6.7%. Nearly 230,000 fewer people visited Vegas in August 2025 than in August 2024. But it's not just 1 month. This has been happening consistently throughout the year. Year to date through August, Las Vegas has seen about 25.8 million visitors, compared to 28 million during the same period in 2024. That's a decline of 7.8% for the year. We're talking about more than 2 million fewer visitors over an 8-month period. That's a significant chunk of people who either decided not to come to Vegas or couldn't afford to come. The hotel numbers tell an even more interesting story. Hotel occupancy in August was 77.5%, which actually sounds pretty good until you realize it's down 3.7 percentage points from the 81.2% occupancy in August 2024. Year to date, occupancy is sitting at about 80.7% compared to 83.7% last year. Again, these might seem like small percentage changes, but in a market with tens of thousands of hotel rooms, we're talking about huge numbers of empty rooms every single night. But here's where it gets really interesting. Average daily rate, or ADR, which is basically the average price hotels are charging per room. In August 2025, ADR was $162.38, down 7.4% from $175.44 in August 2024. Year-to-date, ADR is down 5.4%, so hotels are actually charging less than they were last year, and they're still not filling their rooms at the same rate. When you combine lower occupancy with lower room rates, you get a metric called PAR, revenue per available room. This is what hotel operators really care about because it tells you how much money you're making per room, regardless of whether it's occupied or not. RevPAR in August 2025 was $125.84, down a whopping 11.7% from $142.46 in August 2024. Year to date, RevPAR is down 8.8%. That's a massive hit to hotel revenue across the entire city. Airport traffic backs up the story. Harry Reid International Airport saw about 4.57 million passengers in August 2025, down 5.9% from the previous year. Year to date, airport passenger traffic is down 4.5%. That's millions of empty airplane seats, fewer people flying into Vegas, and a clear signal that the fly-in tourist market is struggling. Now here's where things get weird, and this is one of the most fascinating aspects of what's happening in Vegas right now. Despite all these declining numbers, fewer visitors, lower hotel occupancy, fewer people flying in, Strip gaming revenue is actually up. In August 2025, the Strip generated $679.36 million in gaming win, which is up 5.5% compared to August 2024. Year to date, Strip gaming revenue is up 0.8%. Think about that for a second. Fewer people are coming to Vegas, hotels are struggling to fill rooms, but the casinos are making more money. How is that possible? There are a few explanations, and they tell us something important about how the Vegas market is changing. First, the visitors who are coming are spending more per person at the casinos. Maybe they're higher value players. Maybe they're gambling more aggressively. Or maybe they're just the type of people who budget specifically for gaming and cut back on other expenses. Second, casinos have gotten very strategic about table minimums and game placement. You might have noticed that minimum bets at blackjack and craps tables have gone up significantly. That means fewer hands played overall, but more money per hand. Third, it's possible that the mix of visitors has shifted toward people who are more likely to gamble heavily, even if there are fewer overall visitors. This creates a really interesting paradox. The hotels are struggling, occupancy is down, and the overall vibe might feel less busy. But the casinos themselves are holding their own financially. It's a casinos up, hotels down situation that we haven't really seen before to this extent. So what's driving this decline in Las Vegas tourism? There isn't one single cause. It's a combination of factors that have all converged in 2025 to create a perfect storm of reduced visitation. Let's start with the most obvious one, price fatigue. For the past few years, especially in 2023 and 2024, Las Vegas hotels went absolutely crazy with price increases. Average daily rates shot up, resort fees climbed higher and higher, parking fees became standard, and suddenly, a Vegas trip that used to be affordable became genuinely expensive. For a while, people paid it because they were excited to travel again after the pandemic. They had stimulus money or savings, and Vegas was Vegas. But in 2025, that chickens have come home to roost. People are tired of paying premium prices, tired of being nickel and dimed with fees, and tired of feeling like they're not getting value for their money. The data shows hotels have actually cut rates. ADR is down over 7%, but it's not enough. Even with lower room rates, the total cost of a Vegas trip, including resort fees, parking, food, drinks, and entertainment, is still high enough that a lot of people are saying, not worth it. The social media narrative around Vegas being too expensive has become really powerful. You see it everywhere. TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, YouTube comments. People are sharing their experiences of getting hit with unexpected fees, paying $20 for a cocktail, or spending $100 for a mediocre meal, and they're concluding that Vegas has lost its value proposition. Once that narrative takes hold, it's really hard to reverse. The second major factor is the decline in fly-in and international visitors. Airport traffic being down nearly 6% in August tells you that fewer people are hopping on planes to come to Vegas. There are a few reasons for this. Airfares have been high and unpredictable. The hassle of air travel has increased. And crucially, international tourism to Vegas has dropped significantly. Canadian visitors, who have historically been one of the largest international segments for Las Vegas, have declined dramatically. We're talking about double-digit declines in some months. Some of this is related to economic factors in Canada. Some of it is related to currency exchange rates making US trips more expensive. And some of it is related to broader geopolitical and trade tensions that have made Canadians less enthusiastic about traveling to the United States. When you lose hundreds of thousands of Canadian visitors who used to spend billions of dollars in southern Nevada, that's a massive hit. Mexican tourism has also softened, and Asian tourism hasn't fully recovered to pre-pandemic levels. International visitors tend to stay longer and spend more per trip than domestic visitors. So, losing that segment hurts disproportionately. Analytics firm Placer.ai looked at visitor patterns and found that out-of-market visitors, people traveling from 50 miles or more away, declined 5.1% on the Strip in Q2 2025. This is exactly the high-value segment that Vegas needs. People who are making a special trip, planning to stay multiple nights, and budgeting to spend money. When that segment declines, it's a real problem. The third factor is competition and substitution. Vegas isn't competing in a vacuum anymore. Regional casinos have gotten better, more sophisticated, and more appealing. If you live in Texas, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, or dozens of other states, you probably have a pretty nice casino within a reasonable drive from your house. Maybe it doesn't have the spectacle of the Strip, but it's convenient, it's cheaper, and you don't have to fly or take a long road trip. Online gambling and sports betting have also exploded. You can bet on sports from your couch now in most states. You can play casino games online in several states. That removes one of the core motivations for coming to Vegas. If you just want to gamble, you have options that don't require traveling to Nevada. Convention timing has also played a role in some of the monthly fluctuations. August 2025 saw convention attendance down 8% year over year, partly because the World Market Center show was held in July instead of August this year. These timing shifts can make certain months look worse than they really are. Year-to-date convention attendance is actually slightly positive, up 0.5%. So conventions aren't the main driver of the overall decline, but they do affect the pattern of when people visit. If you've been to Vegas recently, you might have noticed some of these trends playing out on the ground. The Strip doesn't feel quite as packed as it used to during peak times. Hotel lobbies that used to be bustling might feel a bit quieter. You might be able to get restaurant reservations more easily than you could a year or two ago. Some shows that used to sell out every night might have more available seats. For visitors who are still coming, this can actually be a positive. Shorter lines, less crowding, easier access to amenities. These are all good things if you're there. The experience might actually be more pleasant in some ways. But for the businesses that depend on volume and traffic, it's a problem. Workers are feeling it too. If you talk to dealers, servers, bartenders, and other hospitality workers, many will tell you their shifts have been cut, their tips are down, or they're working fewer hours. When occupancy drops and visitor spending declines, that ripples through the entire workforce. These are real people with real bills to pay, and a 7 to 8% decline in tourism translates to reduced income for thousands of workers across the valley. The locals' experience has also shifted. For years, Strip properties largely ignored local residents, focusing almost entirely on tourists. But now, with tourism down, we're seeing properties roll out locals promotions, dining deals, and special offers specifically for Nevada residents. Properties are finally realizing that locals can provide steady, reliable business, especially during weekdays and off-peak periods. The Las Vegas tourism industry isn't just sitting around watching these numbers decline. They're trying various strategies to reverse the trend, with mixed results so far. Hotels have started discounting more aggressively. You're seeing flash sales, multi-night stay deals, and promotions that would have been unthinkable during the 2023 to 2024 boom period. The fabulous 5-day sale in August was a citywide effort to drive traffic with reduced rates across multiple properties. These promotions help fill rooms, but they also cut into profit margins and make it harder to maintain premium pricing going forward. There's been more focus on value transparency and package deals. Some properties are trying to be more upfront about total costs, bundling resort fees into the advertised rate, or offering packages that include F&B credits, or show tickets to make the overall value feel better. It's an acknowledgement that the fee fatigue is real and that travelers want to feel like they're getting something for their money. The convention and group business segment is getting more attention. Las Vegas has an incredibly robust convention infrastructure, and bookings for the fourth quarter of 2025 and into 2026 look strong. Major events like CES, Formula One, and various industry conventions are expected to drive significant midweek occupancy and spending. Convention business tends to be less price sensitive than leisure travel, so it's a more reliable revenue stream during a soft market. Entertainment has become even more important. Major residencies, concert tours, sporting events, and unique experiences are what differentiate Vegas from regional competitors. If you can see an artist or show in Vegas that you can't see anywhere else, that creates a reason to make the trip even when prices are high. The Sphere is a perfect example. It's a unique, one-of-a-kind experience that people will travel specifically to see. So let's address the elephant in the room. Is Vegas dead? Is this the beginning of a permanent decline? Are we watching the end of Las Vegas as we know it? The short answer is no. Vegas is not dead. What we're seeing is a cyclical correction and a market recalibration, not a structural collapse. Let's put this in perspective. Even with a 7.8% decline, Las Vegas is still welcoming over 25 million visitors in an 8-month period. That's still one of the highest tourist volumes of any city in the United States. Hotels are still 80% occupied year to date. The Strip is still generating nearly $6 billion in gaming revenue. These are not the numbers of a dead city. What's happening is that Vegas pushed prices too high, too fast, and the market is pushing back. Travelers are more price sensitive, more likely to comparison shop, and more willing to stay home or choose alternative destinations if they don't feel they're getting value. That's a healthy market response to overpricing, not a sign of existential crisis. The Vegas is dead narrative is catchy and gets clicks, but it's not accurate. A more accurate description would be, Vegas is expensive and experiencing a value-driven slowdown. That's not as dramatic, but it's closer to the truth. History also provides some perspective. Vegas has been through downturns before, after 9/11, during the 2008 financial crisis, and others. Each time, the city adapted, evolved, and came back. This time will likely be no different, though the specific adjustments might look different than previous recovery periods. Looking ahead to late 2025 and into 2026, there are a few scenarios we might see play out. The base case scenario is a gradual stabilization. Conventions and major events help prop up occupancy during specific periods. Hotels continue to offer competitive rates and value packages to attract price-sensitive leisure travelers. International tourism slowly recovers as economic conditions improve and the negative narratives fade. Gaming revenue remains resilient, providing financial stability for the major operators. In this scenario, we see year-over-year declines, moderate, and eventually flatten out, with growth potentially returning by late 2026. The downside scenario would be if current trends continue or accelerate. If international tourism remains weak, if domestic travelers continue substituting regional casinos or online betting for Vegas trips, and if the value perception doesn't improve, we could see more significant declines. This could lead to more aggressive discounting, which hurts profitability, more consolidation among operators, and potentially some properties struggling financially. This scenario isn't likely to result in mass closures or anything apocalyptic, but it would mean a more prolonged and painful adjustment period. The upside scenario would be if Vegas operators successfully address the value concerns, air capacity to Vegas increases with more competitive fares, international markets rebound faster than expected, and major new attractions or experiences drive fresh excitement. In this scenario, we could see a relatively quick recovery, possibly even by mid-2026, with tourism numbers approaching or exceeding 2024 levels. I've been watching Vegas for a long time, and I'll be honest, this correction was inevitable. You can't raise prices indefinitely, add fees on top of fees, and expect customers not to eventually say enough. The 2023 to 2024 pricing environment was unsustainable. It was driven by post-pandemic demand, stimulus money, and a temporary situation where people were willing to pay almost anything to travel again. That period is over. What's happening now is Vegas learning an important lesson about value. The city built its reputation on being a place where you could have an amazing time without going broke. Yes, high rollers have always been important, but the volume business, middle-class Americans and international tourists looking for affordable fun, that's what made Vegas great. When Vegas prices out that core market, it loses something fundamental. I think Vegas will recover from this, but it needs to make some real changes. Resort fees need to either go away or be fully integrated into advertised pricing. Parking fees for hotel guests need to be reconsidered. Food and beverage pricing needs to be more reasonable. The nickel and diming has to stop. Properties need to compete on value and experience, not just on how much they can extract from each guest. The properties that will thrive are the ones that figure out how to deliver genuine value. That might mean lower price points, better package deals, unique experiences that justify the cost, or simply treating guests like valued customers rather than walking ATMs. The properties that don't adapt are going to continue struggling. I'm also fascinated by the casino up, hotels down paradox. It suggests that Vegas is attracting fewer visitors, but higher quality visitors from a gaming perspective. That's interesting, but it's also risky. If you become too dependent on high-end gaming revenue and lose the volume tourist base, you become vulnerable to economic downturns that affect wealthy gamblers. A diverse visitor mix is healthier long-term than being overly reliant on any one segment. Zooming out, the Las Vegas tourism situation in 2025 tells us something about broader economic and social trends. Consumers are more price conscious after experiencing years of inflation. Discretionary spending is being scrutinized more carefully. People are choosing experiences and destinations more thoughtfully, rather than just booking trips on autopilot. The rise of regional gaming and online betting represents a structural change in the gambling market. Vegas will always have unique advantages: the spectacle, the entertainment, the concentration of amenities. But it can't take customers for granted anymore. Competition is real, and it's forcing Vegas to up its game. International tourism patterns are also shifting based on geopolitical factors, economic conditions, and policy decisions. The decline in Canadian and Mexican visitors isn't just about Vegas. It reflects broader trends in U.S. international tourism. Vegas can't control all of those factors, but it can control how welcoming and appealing it is to international guests who do decide to visit. So here's the bottom line. Las Vegas tourism is down significantly in 2025. The numbers are clear, the trends are consistent, and the impact is real. But this isn't a death spiral. It's a market correction. Vegas got too expensive too fast, and travelers are responding rationally by visiting less frequently or choosing alternatives. The city will adapt because Vegas is nothing if not resilient and adaptable. We'll see more competitive pricing, better value propositions, continued investment in unique attractions, and a renewed focus on customer experience. The properties that figure this out first will be the ones that thrive. The ones that keep trying to squeeze every last dollar out of guests will continue to struggle. For visitors, this is actually a decent time to visit Vegas if you can find good deals. The crowds are lighter, the experience might be more pleasant, and properties are motivated to compete for your business. For workers and local businesses, this is a challenging period that will require patience and adaptation. For the city as a whole, this is a wake-up call that will hopefully lead to positive changes.